I never thought betrayal could feel like this. A slow knife pressing into my back. Painful, deliberate, and worst of all, done by the people I trusted most. But there I was, standing in the middle of my childhood home, watching the love of my life slip through my fingers. She wasn't just my girlfriend. She was my future. At least, that's what I had believed. Her name was Emily. We had been together for almost 5 years, and every single one of those years, I was convinced she was the one. We met in college, fell in love over midnight drives and cheap takeout, and spoke about the future as if it were already written in the stars. We had dreams, moving to a big city, building a life together, maybe even starting a family one day. My heart was all in. But apparently, my mother had other plans. I should have seen it coming. She had never been fully on board with Emily and me. She never said it outright, but the little digs, the passive-aggressive comments, the way she always seemed to prefer my older brother Daniel. It was all there. Looking back, it was so obvious. Daniel was the golden child. The one who could do no wrong. The one with the good job, the polished charm, the smile that made people trust him instantly. And me? I was the one still figuring things out, the one who made mistakes, the one who, according to my mother, was never quite enough. But I never imagined she would go this far. It started with small things, private conversations with Emily, little whispers in her ear, stories twisted just enough to make me look like the lesser option. Are you sure he's the right one for you? Daniel has always been more stable. You deserve security, not uncertainty. Then one day, Emily stopped talking about the future. Our late-night conversations turned into short, awkward exchanges. The spark in her eyes dimmed. And just when I finally gathered the courage to ask her what was wrong, she told me she was leaving. Not just leaving me, leaving to be with Daniel. And the worst part, my mother stood right behind her, silent, satisfied, as if she had orchestrated the whole thing. I wish I could say I fought harder. I wish I could say I screamed, begged, did something to stop her. But I just stood there, frozen, as the love of my life walked away. My mother's shadow loomed over everything I thought was mine. That was the moment I realized I was never really part of their plan. And I would never forget it. You ever feel like the whole world is moving forward while you're stuck in the wreckage? That was me after Emily left. Days blurred into nights. I barely ate. I barely slept. I would lie in bed, replaying the moment she walked away over and over until the pain became something I couldn't even cry about anymore. It just sat there, heavy in my chest, like a wound that refused to close. And the worst part, it wasn't just losing her. It was knowing my own mother had pushed her into my brother's arms, like I was just a stepping stone on the way to something better. I stopped answering calls. Stopped going home. What was the point? The people who were supposed to love me the most had made it clear I didn't matter. Then came the wedding invitation. Yeah, you read that right. A neat little envelope, my name printed in perfect cursive. Inside, a card with gold edges that read, "Emily and Daniel request the honor of your presence on their special day." I swear, I almost laughed. Almost. Instead, I tore it in half and threw it in the trash. Hitting rock bottom. You'd think that would be the moment I decided to turn things around. That I'd wake up the next day, hit the gym, get my life together like some movie montage. Nope. I spiraled. Drank too much. Slept too little. Stopped answering my friends' messages. Work became just another thing I had to survive. I was existing, but I wasn't living. The wedding happened without me. I didn't ask for details, and no one offered. Good. Let them have their perfect little life. But life has a funny way of forcing you to wake up. One night, after one too many drinks, I found myself staring at my reflection in a bar bathroom mirror. Bloodshot eyes. An unshaven face. Some guy I barely recognized. And in that moment, I heard a voice in my head. One I hadn't heard in a long time. Is this really who you want to be? I wish I could say I had some grand revelation. But it wasn't that poetic. I just knew I was done feeling like a victim. Done letting them win. So I made a choice. I packed my bags, quit my job, took what little savings I had, and got the hell out of town. It was time to start over. Starting over wasn't easy. A new city, a fresh job. And for the first time in years, I focused on me. No ghosts of the past. No reminders of what I lost. Slowly, I built myself back up. I worked harder. Got stronger. Found new passions. And the bitterness that once fueled me? It started to fade. It was replaced by something else. Peace. Then, out of nowhere, she walked back into my life. Emily. I ran into her at a cafe. She looked different. Not the same confident girl who had left me behind. Her smile was forced. Her eyes were dull. And when she finally spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I made a mistake. My chest tightened, but I stayed silent. Daniel isn't who I thought he was, she continued, tears brimming. I should have never left you. For a moment, the past came rushing back. The pain, the betrayal, the nights I spent hating them both. But I wasn't that broken man anymore. I looked her in the eyes and said the words I never thought I'd be strong enough to say. I forgave you a long time ago, but I've moved on. Then I walked away, because for the first time in my life, I realized I didn't need revenge. I had already won.